Okay, I'm Diane Barrett. I'm here with the BE collection. We have a special edition called Your Vote, Your Voice. It is August 8th, 2022. And I'm here with Beth Maples Bays. Beth is a registered nurse. She's also editor of the Lesbian Echoes collection. So
Yes.
thank you, Beth. Go ahead.
Roe v. Wade has been overturned. This means that reproductive health care is now out of reach for many American women. I know how it is to be in that situation. In 1971, after a foolish teenage impulse marriage, I found myself pregnant. I was 19 and living in Florida. Like any teenage girl, I turned to my mother. After returning home to Tennessee, she took me to a gynecologist. He confirmed the pregnancy. I simply was not ready to be a mother. So we asked about abortion services and could not even receive a referral. Sadly, we returned home to our small town 25 miles from the city. I remembered an article I read in Redbook about abortion and went back to read it again. There were no direct clues, but in the back of the magazine, there was a classified ad for a clinic in New York City. New York and California were the only two states offering legal abortions at that time. We called and made arrangements, hopped a flight to LaGuardia the next day, and found ourselves in a New York cab for the first time in both of our lives. The procedure was uneventful in a clean and professional clinic. Drunk on anesthetic, I once again boarded the roller coaster cab and survived the subsequent breathtaking takeoff from LaGuardia. Returning home, all hell broke loose. The monster who had beaten my mother for 13 years went on the warpath. He was not my father. My daddy died in a car accident when I was 5 years old. 2 years later, mother made the worst mistake of her life. The beautiful 29-year-old married the stepmonster. Upon returning home, the stepmonster was enraged that she had helped me get an abortion. He said that his women didn't get abortions. He and mother argued all night. The next day, I was still weak from anesthetic and stayed home to chat with mother. About 10 o'clock, he returned home from his dental office, ostensibly to bring Coca-Colas. This was totally out of character. Mother met him at a door just out of earshot, where they obviously argued. He left. Not too long after, she stopped doing laundry and told me she was going to the office. I didn't think it was unusual. She was the office manager. She quickly dressed and left. A short while later, there was a knock on the door. I answered, still in my bathrobe. I was aghast to see two police officers standing on our front porch. I asked them what he'd done to her now. No answer. I asked him if she was at the hospital. One shook his head up and down. I asked if she was in a room. No answer. I finally asked if she was in the morgue. One timidly shook his head up and down. My world ended. What happened for the rest of that horrendous day is a very long story. My point in telling you this is to underscore the urgent need to protect women's reproductive freedom. If there had been a local clinic, we could have obtained the abortion without the stepmonster ever knowing. Because we had to travel to New York from Tennessee, she was late in preparing dinner, and he wanted to know why. My mother paid for my reproductive freedom with her life. If there had been a local clinic, we could have gotten the needed services without his knowledge. After my mother was murdered, I continued to bleed. For 3 weeks, I continued to bleed, much longer than the few days described by the clinic in New York. Finally, I decided to call my Aunt Ruth, who was then head nurse, or what we would now call nurse manager, of the OBGYN floor at East Tennessee Baptist Hospital. She arranged for a dilation and curettage, or D&C, so that it would stop. 3 weeks after the murder, I received this life-saving procedure that removed a walnut-sized piece of tissue that was missed on the first procedure. It's understandable when you realize there was a twin product of conception. Without this second procedure, I would probably have bled to death or have become septic. The removal of the missed abortion would not be legal in the state of Tennessee under our current legal mess. I have been a Planned Parenthood nurse and an abortion clinic nurse. I am proud of both of these accomplishments. Knowing that the women of Tennessee will have to travel to another state for a safe, legal abortion breaks my heart and infuriates me. We cannot let this stand. Women deserve quality reproductive health care, regardless of the state in which they live. We must rise up and claim our health care rights. And that is what I think about Roe v. Wade.
Thank you.